Hey everybody, so we got a contract over the weekend that we are super excited about. So I browse the market every day, multiple times every day, and the likelihood of this situation coming about and me seeing it and everything it's just a small percentage, because if I look at every day and really for the last, I know I said 1 to 2 years, but it really might be 2 to 3 years since I've seen something have this good of numbers overall. Typically, some of the rentals that we've bought in the last 2 years, the cash flow side of things is very minimal, if at all, $100 to maybe $300 a month in cash flow, which is, I can tell you, now we sold one, so we had a 16, we sold one 15, so now this will put us up at 19 doors. And I can tell you, since we've been doing this since 2021, $200 to $300 a month in cash flow is not going to be profitable for you to make money on it, just because of tedious repairs and different things that you have to do over the course, and tenants leaving, and then you have turnover, and you got a month rent not collected because you got to clean the place, and then you got to find another tenant. So all those factors come in, but they had really good cost segregation numbers, and I've talked a lot about cost segregations here openly for you guys. So this one, really, it has great rental numbers. It has great cost segregation numbers. Everything, we really don't got to do anything. All right, I'm back. Sorry. I had to, phone call, do some things that I normally would not do to get it, including going cash. I didn't want to go cash. So basically, this thing was multiple offers. Being a fourplex, 3 of the units are rented. They're basically, for ease of numbers, I'm going to say that they're all rented at $1,000, because basically they are. It's like $995, but we're just going to say $1,000. There's one unit that just went vacant. And then the purchase price, we ended up getting this because we were willing to go cash, because we were willing to waive inspection, because we were willing to close in 14 days, even at multiple offers. I actually got it just a tad bit under the asking price. I think it $447,500. So yeah, 447,500 is what we are under contract to, and again, no contingency, so we're buying it. I had the ability. Well, I was trying to actually go almost, I think it was 7,000 higher, but getting a loan on it. And I guess the seller was just in a situation where they really wanted the money faster, didn't want to wait on a lender, and so it made sense for them to take a little bit less money cash. Well, in doing so, that arguably empties the war chest. Having access to capital in real estate, you just never know when these opportunities are going to fall in your lap. I can tell you, never in my life until, arguably with this situation, would I have access to this type of capital. But we've done a couple flips, had a tremendous amount of success doing that. Those flips fell into our pocket very randomly. And luckily, again, we had cash, we made some money. And so we've done really lucky there. We sold a rental property, did extremely well on it. So we had a bunch of money. Now, I will say taxes this year, we need to buy probably another 2 properties because we are going to get absolutely obliterated in taxes this year. But if I can find another 2 of these, we should come out just fine and really be able to wash out a lot of our money. So when I look at rental properties, one thing I always try to find, and it's really hard to do in this market, it's almost impossible to do in this market, I'll say that, is if you purchase a property and you can rent it out for 1% of the purchase price per month, that is a fantastic deal. Fantastic. Now, it is highly unlikely to find that. This property doesn't even do that, right? If I'm basically purchasing for $450, the ease of numbers, and let's just say each unit is renting at $1,000, that's $4,000. Obviously, $450,000, I would need to rent it out for $4,500 a month to get that 1%. But it's close enough there. Now there's no HOA. I can tell you right now, as we've 9 condos. We want to get out of the condo business. Eventually, we tried selling some, didn't work out, so we canceled the listing. We're going to go back and try to sell them again at some point. But we want out of the condo business. We have been absolutely, I'm going on a tangent here, but destroyed by these HOA companies that are just a bunch of crooks. I'm convinced of that. You're not going to convince me of it. Now, I'm talking condo HOA. My personal house is in an HOA, right? We pay like $120 a month, or no, I'm sorry, $120 a year. It's like pays for our sidewalks. They're not involved in anything. But condo, right? You know, somebody else's unit leaks into your unit leaks into somebody else's unit. Something causes damage, a pipe bust, they got too much water pressure, it causes issues in ours. They won't pay for anything. I mean, and special assessments. I think since we've bought condos, let alone the HOA payment on almost all of them have doubled since we bought them. And there's no, it is what it is. And then special assessments, I think we're somewhere around like 12 to 15,000 bucks in special assessments that just gone. It's like, hey, one-time fee. You've got to pay this to fix the foundation issue. You've got to pay this to upgrade the plumbing, like all this crap. And you're not going to convince me these HOA companies are not getting kickbacks from all these companies. It's just, I mean, boy, I have a very strong opinion on these. But anyway, so I don't got to worry about that here. Back to the topic. So we own it. We own the land. It's in a good location. Location's only improving. You know, we only have to rent out one unit. So we're already walking into, you know, collecting money, from 3 of them. And really the math. So what I did, I immediately started talking to some of my lenders, right when I went under contract, because I'm going to have them start the refinancing process immediately. So I don't ever want to be in anything cash. My very first unit that we bought cash, and I remember walking into my then CPA's office, who was a fantastic guy, just outgrew him, and especially into real estate investing, just outgrew him, and you know, now really got to work with EAs, enrolled agents, for tax planning. And I walked in, I was like, yep, bought an $80,000 condo. That's an $80,000 write-off. And he's like, nah, that's not how it works. And I was like, oof, okay, well, I probably need to learn that. He's like, yeah, you got to depreciate that over 27 and a half years. I was like, wait a minute, I spent 80 grand and I only get a write-off like $3,000. And he's like, yeah. I was like, oh, yeah, don't want to do that again. So now I make sure that I try to finance everything. So usually 20% loan. I do shop. I practice what I preach. I will say it's hard to don't care to kind of, you know, give them a situation for commercial. If you're getting in a business name, that's the key, right? Business name for me, liability, putting this in my LLC. It's hard for mortgage brokers to compete with that, because if you're buying it in your personal name, you can really go to mortgage brokers and get some good deals, some 30-year loans, which is nice. But we want to keep everything in our business names. So Y12, I'm probably at this point like $2 million in debt with them, on rental properties. 25-year loan, 10-year balloon, really, really nice interest rate, almost at prime. So, you know, that's a hard loan for other people to compete with, but I still shop it and I still ask, and compare. You know, the whole like, oh my gosh, pull your credit and blah, blah, blah. Again, it's just such a crappy myth that I hate that people think that that's true, because it's really not. My credit's over 800. We buy a couple of properties a year. It's fine. So that was, that's the rental numbers, right? Almost 1%, right? So obviously I have an insurance company. I've already shopped insurance. Insurance seems to be pretty affordable, probably somewhere around $2,500, which is about where I expected it to be at a year. Now taxes, I actually am going to go to the county on this. Taxes is really, really high for the value it's at. And I'm unsure why. It doesn't make any sense, because my personal home is also in the county, and it's actually priced more at the same proration. Now this home is county and city, but the county taxes on this one is like $500 more than mine, and it's the same. And I don't know what I don't know, so I'm not going to pretend that I don't go down there and they don't, you know, say, oh, well, Stephen, well, here's why, and it makes sense. But I'm going to go to the county because it's like you know, $800. Well, combined $800 to $1,000 more expensive than what my math is showing. So I got to go figure out what's going on. Maybe it is a multifamily thing, because this is a multifamily. So I am going to do that, but taxes are pretty high. I think it's like a little over $4,000 a year for this place. So I'll keep you updated on when I find out from that. So the numbers are good. It should really, when I refinance it, right? So refinance, I got to put 20% down. Arguably for ease of the conversation, by the time I pay closing costs and lender fees and title company fees, right? So I'm going to buy it cash. I'm going to close on it. They're already starting the refinance process. I'll have it hopefully refinanced in 40 days to get my money back out. So I got to give $450,000 for ease of the conversation. That will be gone until I'm able to refinance. When I refinance, I'll be able to basically get 80% of that back out. So they'll probably hold on to, $100,000 time you pay all the fees and stuff like that. So I'm in at $100,000, right? Now this is where my logic is, right? I'm in at $100,000. This property cash flow, meaning with the loan, with all my fees, with my insurance, with my taxes, at current rents, and that's me with getting a fourth tenant in there, right? At current rents, is still going to net me right around $1,000 a month net, which is very nice. Very, very nice. So when I look at one number, right, I'm given $100,000 as the down payment. It's going to, I'm going to pay that out, paying the mortgage, everything, net $1,000. Well, over the course of a year, if I gave $100,000, I'm going to get $12,000. That's 12%, right? Anybody, if you go to and you say, hey, listen, I'm gonna give you 12%, 12% on your money in a year. That's a win. Stock market don't do that consistently. So that's a huge win. So it's a 12% return on my money, which is arguably in this market, especially in real estate, a giant win. This is like a home run win numbers right now in this market. So I have that going for me, and then let's get into the big reason, the cost segregation, right? This is where it's so much power. This is why real estate's the number one way to write off taxes legally. There is no better way. So cost segregation study, and I'm not going to go into all the details of it, but it basically allows you to accelerate the depreciation, which is always great. So the big beautiful bill, which is right now picking up a lot of steam, seems like it's going to be presented, or it is on the Senate floor right now. I think they're hoping to pass it. Then it goes to the House, and they're hoping it's signed off by July 4th, which is this week. But I think the reality is it might be next week before it's signed off on. If it does get signed off on, which we all think it does, bonus depreciation goes up to 100%, which is allowing business owners to buy stuff, accelerate depreciation. So if I said, you know what, I need a side-by-side to go show properties, because I do, right? Go show large land properties. When this gets passed, I'll be able to go out and spend, I'm just going to use this number because we have been looking at side-by-sides, $30,000 on a side-by-side, buy a trailer, right, to haul it, bells and whistles, right, because these things come plain. You got to buy a couple $1,000s of bells and whistles for it, and then I would be able to write all that off against my taxes year one with the bonus depreciation. So I'm counting on that to happen. With the cost segregation study, on average, you're able to write off around 30% of the dwelling value, right? And I would tell you, go on YouTube, look this up, go on the internet, do your own research. There's a lot. So I do what's called the cost segregation light. I used to do it through a CPA firm. They were, they were doing it. It was good. I saved a lot of money. They helped me a lot. I'm no longer with them because they were outrageously expensive. And so now I have someone local that I like, but also I use a company. This is an online company that does these cost segregation stuff for me because I know how to do it, know the metrics. I know how to put the data in correctly without fraud and cheating the system because the last thing you want to do is to do that because when you do cost segregations, it doesn't necessarily give you like a higher chance to get audited by any means, but they do shine a spotlight on it because of the depreciation. So let's get into the numbers, right? So the first thing I got to do is you cannot depreciate land value. So if you go out and you spend $100,000, you just buy just land, you can't depreciate that. There is no tax advantages in owning land, but there is tax advantages in owning a dwelling, any type of dwelling. So typically you would get to appreciate that over 27.5 years, right? So you divide the dwelling value. So how you get the dwelling value and how the math usually is done is you go to tax records, you look at the total price, and then it's going to be broken down in land value and basically the dwelling value. And then what you'll do is you'll take that land value, divide it by the total value, and that gives you the percentage of what the land value is. You minus that percentage. Sorry if I'm getting to the weeds, but again, go to YouTube on this. I don't have time to document all this. And in this case, the land value of this dwelling is only at 8%, which is, if you know anything about cost segregation study, tremendous. 8%, awesome. So now, out of the, well, again, $450,000 price, I have to minus 8% of that. And then what is left is basically the dwelling value. So boom. So that gives me the dwelling value. Now, doing a cost segregation study, on average, it's around 30% of the dwelling value right off year one. Well, again, we have a little over $400,000 of dwelling value. So that means I'm going to be able to write off around 30% of that. And I did some simple math, and I haven't like put this number in because I'm not closed on it yet. I can't do a cost seg till I close on it. And it's a savings somewhere around like $120,000. So here's how the game is played. Right? I've done a ton of videos on this. I'm at the end of the day, I'm given $100,000. This property is going to pay me, for that $100,000, it's going to net pay me $1,000 a month. So that's $12,000 a year. That is a 12% return on a $100,000 investment. Not only that, the cost seg, I'm going to give them the $100,000 down payment. And then doing a cost segregation study on this, they're going to allow me to depreciate. This number's not exactly right, but probably somewhere around $120,000 year one, right? So I give $100,000. I get an asset that pays me 12%, but I also depreciate more than what I even gave for the down payment. So I fully wipe out my down payment, $100,000 gone, and I have an additional $20,000 that I apply to other income. Well, arguably, you could say that basically wipes out the entire rent profit there, $12,000. So now it tells me I make that $12,000 basically completely tax-free, and I have another $8,000 to apply. All right, this is how the game is played. Now, I'm telling you, playing this as a tadpole. I am as a small of a player as it gets into this stuff, but I understand the game. And I'm playing the game, and I would encourage everyone and anyone to learn the game and play the game. The game is the game. It's facts. It's not fraud. You just got to learn the tax system and learn everybody calls it loopholes, and I call it loopholes, but you just got to learn the tax system. And again, how you would play the game. I don't do this. This is a long-term hold. We'll have no desire necessarily selling this anytime soon, maybe years down the road. But then I would do what's called the 1031 exchange. So a 1031 exchange, I would sell this. All the profit I would turn around, and then I would buy a whole nother dwelling. So I'd buy a whole nother dwelling with it, and then I would do this all over again. I would do the cost segregation all over again. I would never have to pay back that depreciation. Now, what I would have to do is I would have to pay back that depreciation I gotta go over here. Sorry, I'm at the place I need to go to. I would have to pay that back if I did sell it, right? So, and we did that this year. I'll do a video on that showing you about one of the properties that we sold, because I did a cost segregation on it. We ended up selling it. We made, I don't know, somewhere around like $60,000, $70,000 profit from the sale, but then we have to pay back that cost seg. So it's not like that there's not a chance that you don't have to pay it back at some point. But you'll never have to pay it back unless you sell it. Or if you set your taxes and your systems and your companies up properly, you basically can then give that to your children, put it in a trust, right? Have the trust own everything. And then when you pass away again, it can then go and be in your will, and then people would then inherit it at the new value that it's at. And then all that depreciation recapture is gone. They're not responsible for it. So, boop. How you play the game. But yeah, I wanted to share that with you guys. Thought it was pretty interesting numbers. Again, this to me, needle in the haystack. The odds of this coming around, I've not seen this in like I said, 1 to 2 years in the caption, but it's like 2 to 3 years. I've not seen this. I mean, this is some of the best numbers I have seen in a very, very long time. As far as rent goes, and I do think there's even room. Now, we won't go in and just raise rent. We see the value in good tenants, but we will, go in, make some touch-ups, and then, as tenants turnover, we'll raise it up at that point. So, we just want to make this video for you guys to share that with you. As always, if you got questions, holler anytime. See ya.